Welcome to the 2022 State of Automation in the Finance Office, survey results and panel discussion. My name is Neil Brown, Executive Director of the Controllers Council, and before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. First, please use the GoToWebinar control panel to ask questions. Second, we'll have 4 polling questions, so please, again, use the GoToWebinar control panel to vote and benchmark against your peers. And finally, a frequently asked question, you will receive an email link to this webcast archive, so no need for notes or screenshots. So with that, I'd love to tell you a little bit about our sponsor, Auditoria AI, which increases finance teams' speed, accuracy, and efficiency using intelligent smart bots to automate manual and time-consuming accounts payable and receivable processes while deriving greater cash position visibility. Auditoria integrates with industry-leading ERP and financial applications, including Bill.com, Conga, Coupa, Oracle ERP Cloud, Oracle NetSuite, Sage Intacct, Workday, and collaboration tools such as Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. So with that, I'd like to introduce our panelists. I'm very pleased to introduce Elaine Nowak, Director of Product Marketing at Auditoria, and Nick Ezzo, VP of Marketing at Auditoria AI. Welcome.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Neil. Great to be here.
All right, well, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, super. So the agenda for today, we're going to talk about an overview of the survey and the key findings that were found. We'll hit on the topic of automation and the fact that it's here to stay. We'll talk about how repetitive work is ruining corporate finance. And then we'll get into some of the challenges in the finance office, and then the need to embrace automation or end up stagnated. And then lastly, the steps to get started on an automation journey. So first off, the survey overview and the key findings.
So next slide, please. Over the last 3 years, we've conducted a survey of finance professionals across the globe. In 2020, we surveyed 200 people. In 2021, we surveyed around 450 people. And this year, we topped out at about 650 respondents. And we asked them a whole bunch of questions about the challenges that they had in the back office. And one of the things that we found out is that automation is definitely here to stay. It's no longer a nice to have. And corporate finance is beginning to step up and embrace automation or getting left behind, or even worse, becoming overwhelmed and overworked as a result of the burnout, turnover, and the greater risk in the organization.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that accounts payable once again led the way as having the most manual processes. That's the 3rd year in a row. Time spent checking and updating data was identified as the biggest challenge across the finance back office. Inaccurate or partially complete information and lack of responsiveness from employees, vendors, and our customers were the biggest daily pain points. And activities that took up the most time for finance teams actually differed by role. CFOs stated that analysis, analyzing the data for insights and for reports took up the most time. At the VP director manager level, it was gathering data for analysis. And at the finance specialist, the professional sort of the staff level, it was execute, audit, and compliance related activities. And priorities for the coming year led with focus on process improvement, and that was followed by invest in new technologies to improve processes. So let's just talk a little bit more about the key findings. Next slide. Most respondents, this is 61.8% when asked, felt that their finance back office was not sufficiently automated. That's a good portion of the people that we surveyed. Accounts payable, as I said earlier, but also receivable, they were both ranked as having the most manual work. And that, again, those two are always at the top of having those manual work tasks and workflows, 3rd year running. Time spent on manual or repetitive tasks is the biggest challenge in the finance office, and that was followed closely by time checking and updating data. And then the lack of responsiveness was the most significant pain point, and 1/5 of the respondents, that's 21.2%, say that they will implement advanced levels of analytics and reporting in the next year. So now let's go into a little bit more about automation and the results that we found. But first, we'd like to put a poll question and sort of take the pulse of the audience that's here with us today. So the first poll question is going to come up for us. Which of the following best describes the level of automation in your finance back office? So this is amongst yourselves, your teams. Is it that you have no automation? Is it that you have, let's say, basic levels of automation? Is it that you have some automation, that your automation is fairly advanced? Or would you say that it's advanced or autonomous automation? So please go ahead and select one of those 5 answers as we collect the results. It's interesting to note, yeah.
I see them coming in. I can see them coming in right on the screen right now. We've got 45% of the people, almost 50% now voted.
All right. So we're asking this question that we also asked this exact question on the survey. So it'll be interesting to see if the results are going to be this similar to what we saw in the survey. So which of the following best describes the level of automation in your finance back office? 11% of those with us today said no automation, 32% said basic levels, 43% said some automation, and 11% said fairly advanced. Very small percentage said advanced or an autonomous automation. Interesting. So I think it is actually slightly different than the results from the survey, just slightly. Why don't we go ahead and pull up that next slide, Neil, and let's look at what the results were from the survey that we saw. So the majority in the survey that we took, the respondents said basic levels. So congratulations, everyone here, a little more sophisticated level of audience in terms of embracing automation. So I think that's fantastic. It was found that 44% had the basic levels of automation. So it kind of flip-flopped between the results here and the fact that some of those results said they had some automation. We also saw that in this case, it was a very small percentage that said when it came to advanced automation, they rely on technology to help them make decisions. It was only about 4.5%. Nick, thoughts on this? And
yeah, this is pretty interesting. I mean, my takeaway is that a good percentage of the respondents are not being well served by automation. So we see a significant opportunity there. Around 17%, if you add up that 9.8 plus the 4.5 plus the 2.8, that would be what I would call like advanced or semi-advanced. That's pretty impressive. That's good. And in this particular crowd, I think the numbers, as you pointed out, Elaine, slightly skewed toward that. So what I jotted down was we had 11 and 3% that were in the top category, whereas 11% were in the bottom category. So I think this particular audience, which is controllers, CAOs, CFOs, seem to be